experience. Over to you, Jess.
Hi, I'm Jess and I'm an addict. Yeah, I've never done a main share, so I'm really nervous, my heart's beating at the chest. So yeah, I just want to go back. So I was born in Middlesbrough, into a big family. I'm the middle child, so I've got that middle child syndrome. And I think the first thing that I was addicted to before the drugs was attention. I had older siblings. My dad worked a lot, he wasn't around, and my mum was on the airlines and my dad was a car salesman, and yeah, I just was so naughty. I just would do anything I could to get attention. So yeah, my mum and dad were together for 10 years, and I witnessed abuse, my dad abusing my mum, and yeah, it's really difficult because I was so young. I have vivid memories of it, and you know, today I'm unpacking that stuff as I've just shut it all away. But I had a really good upbringing. I did really well at school. I was a bit of a nerd at school. I had this thing of wanting to be the best at everything. I had to be the best. I was so competitive. So I was always wanting that attention, that teacher's pet. I joined like the choir just to get validated, looking back now. So that was all before the drugs, which I recognise now. That was just attention seeking. And yeah, I had a friend at school that had a big sister that was in an older group, and they used to smoke weed. And that was the first drug that I picked up, was weed, just to fit in. I'd bunk off school because I got attention from people that wanted me, and I didn't get that at home. But that was not my mum's fault, which I realise now. But it was just that feeling of not being part of. That's all I was looking for, was to be part of something. So yeah, I was doing that for a few years, doing the whole teenage drama stuff. My mum actually took me to the doctors when I was about 12 years old, because she didn't know what to do with me. So this doctor told me I was clinically depressed at 12 years old, and I went to this children's mental hospital in Leicester. So we moved from Middlesbrough to Leicester. So, and that was, it was tough. It was tough in there, and it turned out that, you know, I'd stayed there for a few weeks. I did what was asked just so I could get back home, go back out with my mates again. There was absolutely nothing probably wrong with me mentally, my mum just couldn't cope. Going a little bit forward, I left school at 16, and I got this job working with my mum. And there was a guy that worked in the warehouse that was a lot older than me, and we got into a relationship, and I was in the relationship for 7 years, and that relationship was very abusive. He was 12 years older than me. I thought I knew everything. I thought I was in love, and I thought I was an adult, but really I was still just a child. So yeah, it was. I don't want to go into all the horror stories, because you could probably guess what happened. But I was, you know, physically, mentally, and emotionally abused for all those years. And within that, in 2013, I had a child. I was 18 years old, so he was 11 in August, and his name's Oscar. So I remember, I go back to that moment. It's quite a big moment in my life. When Oscar was born, I was 18, and everybody was at the hospital, you know, waiting for this baby to arrive. And then when everybody left, there was just this baby in this cot, and me in this bed, like, what the fuck have I done? And I was frightened, I was scared, and I just kind of went along with it. And once Oscar was born, the abuse in the relationship, it got a lot worse. There was a lot more control. I was drinking through those. I was smoking weed. I would go, I'd had jobs, I'd keep jobs down, but then I'd get accused of sleeping with someone from work, so then I'd have to leave that job, and then I'd find another job, and it was just chaos. But eventually I left that relationship, and it was the best thing that I ever did, really, because I think if I stayed in there, I possibly wouldn't be here today. So when I was on my own with Oscar, and I couldn't cope, and I'd been controlled for 7 years of my life, I was now finally free. So what I would do is my mum would look after Oscar, and I'd go out drinking, I'd be sniffing cocaine, I'd be doing shots at the bar, and you know, I wasn't allowed friends, so it was just amazing to me, this freedom, going out, having fun, what I should have been doing all them years ago. So what I wasn't doing was taking care of Oscar. So yeah, I would palm him off to anybody that I could. And you know, some weeks I would be super mum, and you know, it would be park, cinema, you know, play dates, and the next week I wouldn't be able to get out of bed to take him to school because I was just drinking all the time. And then Chris basically said that I couldn't cope, which is Oscar's dad, and he said, I'm going to take Oscar and I'll look after him while you go and experience what you've got to experience. And I was happy to do that, because all I wanted to do was take away the feeling of the trauma that I'd experienced. So Chris had took Oscar. I was in a flat on my own. I ended up having people round all the time. It was always Jess's house to go back to after the pub. I'd have strangers in my house up for days, because now I didn't have the responsibility of Oscar being around. So things just got progressively worse. And yeah, it was a really shit time. I got evicted from my house for antisocial behaviour. So it was a consequence to. So I got this job in a pub, and the guy that owned this pub moved to Norfolk, and he needed somebody to look after it, and he trusted. So I moved upstairs in this pub, which was great, because I'd have alcohol readily available. I felt part of something, part of a community. You know, I was behind the bar, drunk, being the hostess with the mostess, offering people free drinks, having people back upstairs taking cocaine, and the environment was very drug fueled. We had dealers in and out of the pub, and I ended up getting myself involved with these dealers that I could shift drugs behind the bar, which then led me to dropping drugs off into a crack house, where ultimately, you know, the more times you go into these places, the more chance you're going to try and experience these drugs, which is what happened. And I tried crack for the first time, and it just took everything away. It was the most, and you know, I just wanted it more and more and more and more and more, and that's when my life got even progressively worse. I ended up getting kicked out of the pub, so I had nowhere to live. Luckily, I managed to get a house and declare myself as homeless. The chaos got worse. I had dealers in and out of my house. As the years went on, I started to shoplift. I was surrounded by violence from people, dealers coming in and out of my house, people robbing the dealers in my house. I was attacked. It was a real shit time. I ended up selling myself for drugs online, and that was my life. I was hopeless. By this point, I had no contact with Oscar. where I got into recovery was I experienced, I was drinking, and because I wasn't in the pub anymore, alcohol wasn't readily available to me, and I didn't have any money for any alcohol, and I experienced a seizure that I didn't know what happened. I was on the phone to my mum, and my mum had heard something in the background. I ended up in hospital, and they referred me to Turning Point, which then referred me to this cafe thing that was near in my area, and I only went because my mum begged me to go. So I went there and I met this guy there called Barry. He was the most amazing friend to me now, and he basically said that he's a member of Narcotics Anonymous, and he wanted to take me to a meeting, and I said, I don't want to go to a meeting, I could do this on my own. But I kept going back, and because I liked him and I got on with him and he understood me. Anyway, I agreed to go to this meeting because he said he was going to take me out for pizza afterwards. That's the only reason I went. So I went to this NA meeting, and it was I went to this NA meeting and it was like a cult. I was like, what is this? Everyone's holding hands and saying the word of God. And this guy next to me held my hand, and he looked normal, and he said to me, just, I know this is really weird, but just keep coming back, this honestly works. And because of that, I just did, I kept on going back. Which then, I started to get people's numbers. I didn't stay clean by going to NA meetings, but I managed to gain some more connections of people that were in recovery, which is where I met Jerome, which Jerome then told me about this place called Studio House Project, where I went for an assessment, and I was broken at that assessment. I was with my mum, and the questions that were asked, she didn't even know half the things that had gone on, but I just got honest with this with a guy called Phil, who's amazing, who works there, and yeah, I was told I just need to ring up every day, which I did. I rang up every day. I went to an NA Unity day before I got offered a bed, and I seen Damien there, and I said, I'm in next. I was desperate, and I was told you can't drink. You'll be tested. If you get tested positive for alcohol, you won't be able to come in there. So I thought, I won't drink, but I smoked as much crack as I could between the time of going into treatment. I thought, one last time. And I walked in the doors of Studio House Project on the 29th of November, and my clean date's the 30th of November, and it's the most amazing, beautiful place. I thought I was going into treatment to help others. That's where I was at. I didn't think I had a problem. I went in there thinking, why do they do that? I could run this place, that could be better. And there's me ringing up every day, desperate. And yeah, so I owe my life to Studio House Project. It's taught me how to have a routine in my life. It's taught me how to be around people I've been told about myself, and thank God for that. I don't know where else I could go where someone would give me that kind of love and that brutal honesty to say this is how you are, because my family couldn't do it, the people around me couldn't do it. The Studio House Project did that for me, told me about myself, and you know, there's times where I haven't listened, but there's times where I've needed that brutal honesty to get me even more brutal for me to hear it, and I'm so glad that I have heard that message. And yeah, I've got a plan now to lay foundations in recovery, where I'm going to go to college, I'm going to do an access course, I'm going to go into university to do nursing. That's where I want to go, and I just want to carry a message. So yeah, that's my 15 minutes. I've gone all over the place. So yeah, I owe my life to Studio House Project. It's the most amazing place, so thank you.
Thank you, Jess, and big up Studio archive some good work they're doing over there. So we've got one more share, and then after